After back-to-back battles against Big Four rivals, the Canisius College Golden Griffins get ready for back-to-back games inside the Kessler Athletic Center in the week ahead. This is the Jim Barron Show presented by Geico. I'm your host, Ben Wagner, and thanks for joining us after a week of hiatus, only for good reasons, though, because, Coach, not only did the Golden Griffins have to miss your coach's show because they had two games, but they also had two very good wins in Cornell and Lehigh going back a couple of weeks.
Well, they were really good wins for us, especially playing against a tough Hofstra team on the road, a team that's picked to win their league, and then we come back and, play Lehigh, and really guys did a great job, and they're a team that's picked to win their league. Tim Kempton is Player of the Year in that conference preseason, and then we come back and play Cornell, which I thought was a really good game for us because we got their point guard in foul trouble. They took him out of the game, and it kind of we were able to really generate some offense off our defense. And then the second half, we got our bench involved, and then we just took off from there. And the thing about our basketball team, and we know it's in progress. We know, and I've said that all along, because we have so many newcomers. Each game, we're going to learn from ourselves, and we're playing against good teams, and that's the challenge we have. But when we beat Cornell, we were able to get our bench into the game. We were able to get our press really up tempo, and we really put the defensive pressure on them that allowed us to outscore them and really run away with the game.
First two victories in different fashion for the Golden Griffins. A tough, hard-fought victory over Lehigh, like Coach talked about, and then you got to the Cornell game. Not that it was easy by any stretch of the imagination, but able to win in different ways. And also, Coach, congratulations, your 450th career victory.
Well, I tell you, Ben, it's just sometimes you don't really think about what's going on, but when you have those types of wins, especially against taking over programs that you're trying to revitalize. St. Francis was a disaster before I got there, and we were able to take it to the NCAA tournament in 4 years. St. Bonaventure was in disarray when I took it over. We went to the NIT in my third year there, and then Rhode Island was, complete mess with, going on probation and, the troubles they had with the Lamar Odom situation. But we were able to bring that around and go to 6 postseasons in my 11 years there, and then coming to Canisius. So, when you have these kinds of victories, you can't do it by yourself. You got a staff, you got assistant coaches, you got players, you got the support staff around you, and then you got the community that comes out to the games, whether it's alumni, whether it's a student body, and it's just people are committed, and I think a lot of it is generated because what I try to do as a basketball coach, I try to develop a program and not just a basketball team. All the kids graduate, okay? That's my goal, is to get 100% graduation rate, what I'm trying to do, and to do it the right way with student athletes. And that's why I can't be more, excited about the guys that we have on this program, but to have 450 wins is phenomenal.
450 career victories for head coach Jim Barron in the 4 Division I stops that he's had, including now in his 4th year with the Golden Griffins, that already has logged 3 in a row. Postseason appearances for you?
Well, it's just, we've had, really good kids. And when I first got in here, the kids really gravitated to my philosophy and my style. And once they trusted what we were doing, my staff and I, then they were able to understand what it takes to win. And what happens is after you go to 3 postseasons, to try to do that back to back to back to back, people got to understand, we don't re-sign kids, like they do in the NBA and the NFL. We graduate them, now we bring in newcomers, and now you got to pretty much start all over and then bring the underclassmen up to speed from the standpoint of now being leaders. So it's a new position, but it's working to be an ongoing process. And the challenge we've had this year is we're playing against good basketball teams. So therefore, it's kind of like on-the-job training. And, we've been very, very competitive, but now we got to keep working to get over the hump.
From a basketball fan standpoint, the games have been unbelievable. I mean, you go back to the wins at the Kessler Athletic Center over Lehigh and Cornell. Again, kind of different styles of winning contests. Say Bonaventure was an action-packed game. The same thing in Amherst against the University of Buffalo. these were really competitive and high-level games and high-scoring contests, too.
Well, you know, Ben, you're playing against teams, you know, they're winning programs. I mean, both of those programs are winning programs. And, you know, Buffalo went to the NCAA last year, and, you know, Bonaventure has some really, really good upperclassmen. And, you know, our guys got to continue to understand the sense of urgency of us preparing and doing the things we need to do on the defensive end, because we know we can score the ball. I mean, we got 96 points against Buffalo, and, you know, we're right there for the play. A couple of calls go either way down the stretch, and all of a sudden, you're on top. We're up one when we got a breakaway, and I thought it was definitely a flagrant foul because the guy was definitely out of position. And again, if that's calls made a flagrant foul, you know, now we're up one, 2-shot foul, plus possession of the ball, you know, with under 30 seconds to go. That's a different type of ball game.
We can break down that film a million different ways. As I was watching, and I was on the bench side too, calling the action on radio, it looked like Crumpton goes up to make the shot and then gets clubbed above the shoulders, essentially. Whether there was intent or not, in a situation like that, you watch it night in and night out, it seems like officials will go to the monitor. Was there any clarification on how that play from an official standpoint is evaluated or is not evaluated?
No, it's, well, you know, any play down the stretch, because as you've seen, they went to the videotape on a lot of other plays that were when the ball went out of bounds a couple of times down the stretch under 2 minutes. And all I asked them is, you know, look at the monitor, because I thought it was definitely an intentional foul. And the expression I got from them was, you know, it's not a flagrant foul. And I said, well, go to the monitor. I mean, I just want clarification. After I looked at it on the video, it was clearly an intentional foul. I mean, clearly a flagrant foul. No question in my mind. Because again, he wasn't in a position to block the shot. And so therefore, because he was late, the only thing that he had to do was hit Crump in the back of the head. And that's what he did.
Moving forward from that, I guess, what can a coaching staff, what can not that the players can do anything, but what's the next step?
Well, the next step is we broke down the film and we told the players that it can't come down to a situation like that. Unfortunately, those things happen, but now you got to move forward. And again, we had too many defensive lapses. We had too many turnovers in that game to allow that to allow us to be in a position to have it come down to one last shot or one last play. So therefore, we got to be bigger than that, and we got to try to generate a 6 or 7, 8 point lead so we don't get to that position. And a lot of that is we got to stress defense, we got to stress rebound, we got to stress taking care of the basketball. Because I told them, when you're playing against good basketball teams, they're not going to turn it over. They're not going to do things to allow you to just come in and win the game. You got to earn it. And that's where we got to continue to get better and improve on those different areas.
Nip and tuck through the first half, and then in that second half, that's a team that was down by 11 points against the Bulls over the weekend. This team, though, has showed that they are never out of any game.
Yeah, well,
regardless of how far.
Well, there's no question, and the reason is because we got guys that can score the ball. You know, we got guys that feel that they can step up and move the ball around. Plus, we have guys that really go to the glass for second and third shots, and that's really important for us. But, you know, we're an up-tempo type of team. We started that way. We're going to continue to do that. And the better we defend, the better we rebound, the more opportunities it's going to allow us to attack the basket. The other thing is it's also going to allow us to get to the free throw line and get 1 or 2 free throws beside the offense that we have against man-to-man or against zone defenses that allows us to gain points that way.
Head coach Jim Barron is with us. This is the Jim Barron Show presented by Geico. And coming up on our broadcast here, we're going to talk about the next opponents for the Golden Griffins in back-to-back fashion on Friday and Saturday. The Golden Griffs will play Monmouth and Quinnipiac. Plus, we'll talk about some of the players on the floor that are doing just fantastic, and not only fantastic for the Golden Griffins, but nationally, where they're ranking as well as this week arrives. This is the Jim Barron Show, and we'll be back in a moment. It's been presented by Geico on the Golden Griffin Broadcast Network.
free-range chicken, you roam free. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
For all information on Canisius Athletics, log on to GoGriffs.com, the official online home of Golden Griffin Athletics. Follow us on Twitter for up-to-the-minute information on Canisius Athletics. Follow Canisius Athletics on Instagram at GoGriffs. Like Canisius Athletics on Facebook. Follow our story and add your moments by following GoGriffs on Snapchat. Join our YouTube channel for all highlights, post-game, and feature videos. Canisius Athletics, online all the time.
This is the Jim Barron Show presented by Geico. I'm your host, Ben Wagner, looking at the week ahead with the head coach, Jim Barron, and somewhat of a rarity on the schedule as well, Coach. Not only are you going to play 2 games in a weekend, but you're going to play them back-to-back on Friday and Saturday against 2 tough teams in Monmouth and Quinnipiac coming to Western New York.
Well, this is like joining the Ivy League's conference because they do this all the time. They play Friday and Saturday, so you know, it just happened in the schedule where, you know, we worked with Quinnipiac and doing it on Saturday. So, you know, again, they're 2 tough teams. I mean, Monmouth was picked second preseason, and, you know, they got one of the best guards in the league, but also probably in the country with Robinson. So they're a high-flying team. They've had some great wins so far against UCLA, Notre Dame, and USC. So those are high-profile programs, and they're a team that's very, very athletic. They can score the ball in a lot of different ways. We had great battles against them the last couple of years, and this is going to be another challenge for us. But, you know, we got to defend, we got to rebound, and then we got to attack the basket ourselves. Once we get the ball, we got to really get it down, really run offense, make good plays, good shots, and then get to the offensive glass. And then right around, we turn it around and play Quinnipiac, one of the best rebounding teams in the country, and they've always been that. Tommy Moore, who was an assistant at University of Connecticut, he does an outstanding job. So, you know, to go back to back, we really got to get ourselves ready. We got to get our bench ready, because this is where a bench is very, very much imperative to have them ready, because we need everybody to go into this back-to-back game this weekend.
And no doubt it's going to be fun coming up on Friday night. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. Justin Robinson is the individual you were talking about, Coach, with Monmouth coming in. When you look at the Hawks guard and what he's been able to do, how is he scoring and averaging almost 25 points a game?
Well, he shoots the ball very, very well from the perimeter, but, you know, he's very quick, takes the ball off the dribble, attacks the basket. And, you know, over the years as a head coach, I've had a lot of guys that are very similar to him. And when you have point guards, and that's why, you know, we have Chris Atkinson, okay? You know, we have another young man from Virginia that's coming next year. So I love those undersized point guards, because they could really break you down. And Malcolm McMillan for us is having an exceptional year. So, you know, he's a guy that just really generates a lot of attention, just because he can score off the ball, he can score on the ball, he comes off the screens, he can shoot threes, and he really penetrates and makes other players better. And whenever you have that kind of quickness, you know, it presents a lot of problems. But here's the thing, Ben, we know that he's a very good player. He's going to get 20-plus points. The key is not allow the other guys to have major games. And that's going to be the test for us, that we can defend, rebound, and then what we have to do, we got to attack the other basket and really force them to play defense, force them to rebound the ball, and make good plays.
That probably was more evident on the tape against Notre Dame, because Justin Robinson didn't have one of those eye-popping games. Yeah, he ended up with 20-plus points, but he made guys better around him with the distribution.
Well, you know, it was a lot of similarities to that game, to our game against Notre Dame at their home court, when Billy, a guy by the name of Billy Barron, had 33 points, and they had no answer for his penetration. And not only did he have 33 points, but he made everybody else around him by penetrating to the basket. The unfortunate thing was, we were on the home court in South Bend, and this was a neutral site that Monmouth played Notre Dame in a tournament. So, you know, again, but whenever you got a quick guy like Robinson, he presents a lot of problems, because a lot of times teams come in and say, oh, he's not a big factor. But let me tell you something. When you have point guards like him and guys like Malcolm McMillan And a guy like Chris Atkinson, you better watch out, because those types of guards are very, very effective, especially when you have a coach. They have King Rice, and he was that kind of player. And, you know, I love those kinds of players. I love coaching those kinds of players because their quickness is very difficult to defend against.
Let's talk about Chris Atkinson too, and that quickness and what he's been able to do defensively and try to slow down guys, poke balls away, get a lot of deflections when he's out there on the floor. How big is that, in knowing that you can rely on that, because I mean, you just can't teach speed. I mean, you're just blessed with it.
Well, there's no question about that. And the other thing is, you can't scout against that. I mean, I don't care what it is. You can't scout against. It's like a quarterback in football that is very, very aggressive out of the pocket. You know, you can't scout against a guy that could maneuver and go. And Michael Vick, I remember when he first came out, and they had all kinds of problems with how you're going to guard a guy that can really run outside the pocket. But in football, you can bang them pretty good, and they can get hurt. But in basketball, when you have a point guard like this, like these guys, it's phenomenal to watch, because they break you down. The game has changed in college basketball because the clock has gone down from 35 to 30. Eventually, it'll probably go down to 24, just like the NBA, just like international basketball. But, you know, when you're playing with guys of that kind of caliber and that kind of speed, it's very, very difficult to guard that kind of player, because if he gets by your point guard, now he can break you down and make everybody else really good. I remember when I first got into coaching, we had a kid named David Rivers out of Notre Dame. And David, you know, Digger would come to me and say, you know, what's our press offense? I said, our press offense is one guy, David Rivers, and get the ball to him and get out of his way. And, you know, when you have quick point guards, let me tell you something, they make you look like a great coach.
They just put their head down and drive right through it.
Just go through it.
Let the players win the game, right?
That's it. Well, that's you know, you can see it in professional basketball. You know, Russell Westbrook, I mean, he's a one-man wrecking crew. Tony Parker, you know, you see Chris Paul, you see all these great point guards. I mean, it makes it very, very easy. I mean, you look at Steph Curry. I mean, he makes that coach, I mean, they don't even have it. Right now, the head coach has been injured, and they got Walton as the coach, and this guy's making him look like a genius as a head coach. But, you know, he just makes everybody, you know, grow and gravitate, because he makes everybody better, because they got to play him, and then he's very unselfish.
Justin Robinson averaging almost 25 points a game for the Hawks that'll visit on Friday night at 7 o'clock. You can get your tickets at gogriffs.com or call the ticket office, or go to ticketmaster.com as well. So go to gogriffs.com for all the ticket information, of course, the schedule information about the game on Friday and on Saturday. Monmouth Hawks averaging almost 80 points per ball game, so offense will be on display on Friday night. Quinnipiac will come in 2-2 on the season. The Bobcats, they play 2 games, home against Albany, then they play Friday night here in Western New York against Niagara. So they'll have 2 more games under their belt before they arrive on Saturday. How much of a game plan will shift in between what happens in Albany and then what happens in Niagara for you on Saturday?
Well, you know, they're a good basketball team regardless. And you know, I'm a big believer, you know, that you worry about yourself. I mean, anytime you're playing against good basketball teams, the common denominator is going to be you got to play defense solidly, you got to take care of the basketball, and then you got to rebound the basketball. So those are the types of things. And when you're playing against a team like Monmouth, they're going to be really quick, so you got to really defend. You got to guard Robinson. You got to really box out and look to score on the other end. Now you got to turn it around and play Quinnipiac that could really rebound the basketball. So you got to make sure you got good position, boxing out, so that you can defend them, and then you got to look to attack it on the offensive end.
Quinnipiac ranks 6th in the country in rebounding. Where's the pressure come? Is it more on your guard play and making sure they can test shots so the bigs can get the rebounds, or is it more pressure on Phil Valente and Kevin Bleeker and Jamal Reynolds?
Well, it's a good question, because the guards have to keep our guards have to keep their guards out of position, keep them on the perimeter, because if they get in the paint, they break our postmen down, because our posts have to help. But regardless, you got to put body on them so that you have position to move them out so that you can get the ball on the defensive end. And that's very easy to talk about, but you got to really maneuver yourself and be physically aggressive to box them out so that you can get the ball and attack them on the offensive end.
We're going to dive into some of the player breakdowns as well coming up here on the Jim Barron Show presented by Geico. But overall, are you pleased? And I know it's always a key in every coaching scouting report too, is the rebounding and crashing the glass. Griffs have been amazing on the offensive side of things. Are you pleased overall with how the effort is in rebounding the basketball collectively?
Well, I think that, on the offensive end, I mean, Jamal Reynolds is one of the best offensive rebounds I've ever had. I mean, he just gets it. He understands it. He knows how important the offensive rebounding is. But I think on a lot of the other things is we got to use Kevin Bleeker to try to post him up, get the ball inside. We got to do a better job of executing our offense so that we can get good shots, and that would, whenever you get good shots, that allows you and allows the other players to know a good shot leads to good rebounding opportunities on the offensive end. So I think it's a growing process because we do have newcomers to understand. The other thing is we got to keep trying to get some offense off our defense. I mean, that's going to be real important. We're putting pressure, creating some turnovers so that we can get some easy buckets down at the offensive end.
This is the Jim Barron Show presented by Geico. Coming up, the Golden Griffins at home in the Kessler Athletic Center on Friday and on Saturday. Go to gogriffs.com for ticket and schedule information or just call the box office at 888-TIXX. Coming up, we'll talk more about the Golden Griffs, who's playing well, who's coming off the bench, and maybe perhaps a surprise for the head coach. The Jim Barron Show rolls on right after this. It's presented by Geico on the Golden Griffin Broadcast Network.
I'll ride the highway, I'm going my way.
If you're a free-range chicken, you roam free. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
For all information on Canisius Athletics, log on to gogriffs.com, the official online home of Golden Griffin Athletics. Follow us on Twitter for up-to-the-minute information on Canisius Athletics. Follow Canisius Athletics on Instagram at gogriffs. Like Canisius Athletics on Facebook. Follow our story and add your moments by following Go Griffs on Snapchat. Join our YouTube channel for all highlights, post-game, and feature videos. Canisius Athletics, online all the time.
Presented by Geico, this is the Jim Barron Show over the Golden Griffin Broadcast Network. The head coach, Jim Barron, is with me. I'm Ben Wagner as we prepare for a couple of ball games here this weekend. Friday night against Monmouth, Quinnipiac coming in on Saturday. We know Malcolm McMillan has had just a tremendous start to the regular season. We've talked about Jamal Reynolds crashing the glass. There are other guys that are part of this cog, really, to make the wheel turn. And coming off the bench with his first opportunity, 12 points for Crumpton and guys like Cassius Robinson. I mean, these are key role players that are helping the Golden Griffins very early.
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, Crumpton came in and against Buffalo, he had 16 points, but more importantly, he had 9 rebounds. See, these are the types of things that we really need as a basketball team because we want to really up-tempo. We want to get our bench involved. Cassius Robinson had a terrific, he had 13 points against St. Bonaventure, and then he comes back against Buffalo, and he has one of his best games with 24 points. So, these are the types of things that I've been talking about. Each game, you're going to have other guys emerge, and because of the way we play, with up-tempo and pushing the ball and penetrating and kicking it out, each day, each game, you're going to see different guys emerge. And there's a situation where all of a sudden we had 2 guys step up and have probably career games, which is going to be important for this basketball team to really develop to be a solid team and to be able to be competitive and have a chance to win each and every game. And that's what we're trying to work towards is improvement, development. I'm a big believer, my staff's a big believer in development of our players. And I think as we move forward, you're going to see each and every game because we're playing against good back. Man, you got to understand, Buffalo went to the NCAA tournament. So they're coming in with a little bit of a swag that, coming in, we're playing on the road, and we got a chance to knock them off right at the end there. So, our kids were right in the middle, right in the thick of things, and now we got to work to get over the hump as we're playing against good basketball teams, we got to limit our turnovers. We got to defend, rebound, so that we can attack on the offensive end. And each and every game, you're going to see different guys step up. Isaiah Gurley is another guy, once he gets healthy, and he's working to get healthy, but he really turned it on against Cornell when we played. And he's a guy that, especially coming off the bench, can give us great energy and great minutes.
Great guys catches. Robertson had 24 points. That's a brand new career high for him. You know that there's a little bit more in the tank, too, with Jermaine Crumpton. He just needs to get ready for game speed.
Well, there's no question. I mean, he's got the body. He's very physical. You can go inside out with him. But he complements Bleeker. He complements Valenti. And as you're looking at the guards, we need other guys to step up. We need our guys to be ready. Chris Atkinson to come in to give Malcolm McMillan a breather. You know, Isaiah Gurley needs to come in so that he can give Jamal Reynolds as well as Cassius Robinson a break. But when you bring those guys in off the bench, you don't lose anything. And that's what development comes in. That's what redshirting has done for us to allow these guys to be, I call it, player ready. I call it player ready, so that they're ready to play the game. You can call on them off the bench, and they can come in and give you high energy and high play.
That's the head coach, and he's ready for a pair of ball games. Friday night, 7 o'clock, Monmouth comes to the Kessler Athletic Center. And then on Saturday, Quinnipiac, the Bobcats will visit for their one and only trip as well. Right here at GoGriffs.com, you can find ticket and schedule information. And as always, you can call the box office at 888-TIXX. For head coach Jim Barron, good luck this weekend.
All right, thanks, Ben.
All right, that's the head coach, and the head coach's show is presented by Geico. I'm Ben Wagner. Hope you see you downtown just off Main Street at the Kessler Athletic Center coming up on Friday and Saturday for Canisius College basketball. Thanks for joining us for the Jim Barron Show on the Golden Griffin Broadcast Network.